Bien bonjour everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am here today with my Rogue PhD to explain to you Queen. Yeah, I'm gonna call him Queen. You can argue in the comment, but that's how I'm gonna call him. I don't care. I am here today with my Rogue PhD, as I was saying, to explain to you how he's working on what we need to check as soon as he gets here, because there is a lot of hypotheses I'm gonna make, because as usual the skills are not very clear, or yeah, there is a lot of things to test. So let's start by reading the skills. Uh, by now, I assume a lot of people knows it is an average requirement of 1,000, average consumed of 1,000. So if you haven't watched any other YouTubers out there, which would be very weird, um, yeah, that means you would ask to yourself, how is it consuming rage? Well, let's jump right now to the second skill that thankfully Lilith put on the same screen. Uh, Whenever this commander troop launches a basic attack, it spends 100 rage. Wonderful! That means every turn you're gonna spend 100 rage, so every 10 turn you can cast your active skills. Uh, Obviously, is that every 10 turn there is more rage consumption in the kits. But let's keep reading. So you spend 100 rage, to convert your normal damage, so your basic attack damage, into direct damage. By the way, let's stop right here for a moment. Direct damage is skill damage. I do not know why they keep writing it that way. They should really change every instances of direct damage to skill damage. It is skill damage. The direct damage is equal to 100% of the full basic attack damage factor. Again, that's a lot of text just to say 200 damage factor. By now, everyone knows it's yeah. So basic attack damage factor is 200 normal damage. So basically, you spend 100 rage to deal 200 skill damage factor. That's it. Everything here is summed up so much more shorter and so much more clear. Also, because this is a skill 2, you have the stats. So 20% march speed, 30% defense, 20% health. This is kinda nuts. This is amazing. And it's not even what's the most amazing about that commander. Oh yeah, by the way, if we go back to the active skill, he's a 6 target. He's a 6 target. Well, sort of. Because his blowing is active. If you count his basic attack, that now become a skill attack, plus the 5 targets splash from his active skill, because yeah, you're gonna splash that one skill attack into a 5 targets AoE skill. So yeah, it's kind of 1+5, but it's kind of like all other commander that just do a basic attack plus 5 AoE if they are 5-man AoE. But he's a kind of 6 target commander. It's kind of funny. So yeah, this commander's troop gains the Eternal Emperor effect for 10 seconds. So yeah, it's a self buff that lasts very long. So I've heard some people raise concern because that reminds them of Sargon. Trust me, if this is nothing like Sargon. That buff has basically 100% uptime. This is going to be very, very difficult to prevent that commander to use that to have that that buff 100% of the time. This is doable, but it is very hard. You will see it later. So, what does it do? What does the buff do? Whenever the troop deals direct damage with a basic attack via Iron Pierce Bronze, so the second skill, it also deals 60% of the damage to up to 5 other nearby enemy troops. And by the way, that seems broken because that basically means you're doing an AoE splash every turn. But the numbers are very low. I will show it to you later on. And by the way, I hope that you can drop a like or subscribe because I'm the only one that does it. Everyone is like, yeah, the commander is broken. It's amazing. Whoa, yeah, it's so complicated. Yeah, but no one crunched the number down. So actually, you don't know. It could be dealing like 10 damage AoE, and that's like, yeah, it's garbage. And you will see that's not that much damage. Actually, One Conquer 6, the active skill, is not what breaks the commander. More on that later. Let's keep reading the skills. Skill number 3. Thunder shakes Earth. But I'm just gonna skip it because it's the expertise skill that enhances it. So Thunder shakes Earth and ends into Seal governs all. If his commander's troops is in the field and has been outside the city for 10 seconds, it gains the Eternal Emperor effect for 10 seconds. Whenever it enters combat. By the way, I do not own Huo. Let's jump quickly to Huo. Where is he? Because it says outside of your city. But what if it's someone else's city? You can actually, quote unquote, cheeseburger. I'm not gonna use that word any ever again because I hate it. It's confusing for new player and it makes actually not much sense. So where is it? Yeah, actually, that's not the same wording. So maybe you can actually jump in someone else's city, wait 10 seconds, and then pop out and do city popping. Yeah, city popping. It's much more better than cheeseburgering. Like city popping. You know what you're doing. You're popping out of a city and popping in the city. Like while cheeseburgering, what is it? Are you working in a fast food? Yeah, no, that doesn't make much sense. Whatever. Back here. So yeah, you can actually start the fight with the Eternal Emperor effect, so the active skill. So that commander has a pre-ignition. It's amazing. That alone is god tier. Like a lot of commanders, sometimes in the open field you will like fight for 5, 4, 5, 6 seconds, and then you have to retreat because you're targeted or your enemies run away, and you've accumulated rage that you can't use. Well, that does not apply to him. Well, not only because he starts with the buff, but also because he just needs rage to start using his Iron Pierce's Bronze. But he actually uses his Iron Pierce's Bronze on turn 1, or maybe 2, regarding depending on how the rage is gonna interact with itself. But he's also splashing it right away. So turn 1 or 2, depending on how the buff works, because in case you don't know, most buffs start working the turn after the ones they applied. The only exception so far are Shajar and CY that apply buffs to themselves that start instantly working. So I'm gonna assume it's gonna be the same, but so far we do not know. So maybe actually even if you start the fight on round 1 with your buff, maybe you actually start splashing only on turn 2. We need to test that. So whenever the troop deals direct damage with Iron Pierce's Bronze or the Eternal Emperor effect, and the or is very important here, it spends 25 rage, won't trigger if you do not have the rage, makes sense, to deal extra direct damage to all targets and drain 15 rage from them. Damage factor 250, Wanning. Wanning is a new mechanic and it's very important. After triggering 2 times in a single second, every subsequent trigger that second deals 25 less damage. Down to win of 25%. Yeah, that skill is actually the one that make or break that commander. It's the expertise, so that kind of makes sense. Yeah, this is the one that kind of, yeah, make or break that commander, and no one mentioned that. How does it work? Because here it says triggering 2 times in a single seconds, but that seems so broken. I mean, to me, like you would just only be spending 25 rage once on it everyone for 250 Wanning. I made the math later on, so more on that later. And you just gain 15 rage. So you would drop 25 rage to gain 60. Oh no, not 5 or 6. I do not know. And you see, that's why I actually start thinking that it's actually 20 rage spent per target, which would make much more sense after trying 2 times in a single second. So there is actually 2 hypotheses I made. Like you spend 25 rage once and you hit everyone, the 6 targets, so you actually drain 90 rage. And I made a second hypothesis where you spend 25 rage 6 times to drain 90 rage again. If that's the case, that commander is broken. I will just quickly read the skill number 4 before actually starting to take my spreadsheets. So if this commander troop is taking a field troop, if there's a primary commander, that troop gains 500 rage upon entering combat. So that looks very, very strong, but that actually might not be that OP. depending on how the rage is spent. Or I should say when the rage is spent. Is it at the very start of the turn, like before any rage gained? Is it at the same time? Like, I mean, can you consume the rage that you just spent, that you are gaining the same turn, or can you not? Do you have to have the rage already in stock, saved, or can you actually use the rage you're gonna gain on the same turn? This has implications because if you want to pair him Zhuge is also a must-be primary if you want to make full use of his Rage Engine. But yeah, it's very complicated because there is a lot of things going on with the Rage. And sadly, so far I cannot know because it's not in game. I do not know. I cannot answer it. Do you really want a massive Rage Engine, like going Rage Engine from Zhuge plus, I don't know, Ornn plus Drum plus Feral Nature? Do you want to stack everything or not? Well, actually, I do not know because we don't even know how much Rage can you stack. Like, we would think it's 1,000 Rage. You can't go further than that because most commanders can only stack 1,000 Rage. But we have commanders with increased rage requirements. Where is Tokugawa? Not Tokugawa, Honda. Honda can go up to 1,350 rage. But what's the limit? Can you actually store like 2,000 rage and start spending it with your rage consumption skill? We do not know. So maybe starting with 500 rage is amazing, maybe not that much. But it's there, it's better than not having it, that's for sure. But it might not be as broken as it is. Maybe you can actually use him secondary, maybe. I would tend to not do that, but it might be a possibility. I will do the tests to know if it's actually a viable strategy depending on the pairings we get. So also, back on the skill. The troop takes 10% less damage, that's very good. Nothing much to say there. But the third part is what kind of matters the most. Whenever that troop takes direct damage, smite damage, or combo attack damage, with 300 plus damage factor, again, very long sentence to just say whenever you take an active skill, whenever you hit with an active skill, or a big instant proc, it spends 40 rage. Again, rage spending, that's nice. To reduce damage by 40%, that's amazing, that's so strong. That's so strong. But that's actually maybe not great, because that means if you're getting targeted heavily, or at least if you're getting hit by AoE a lot, maybe you can go starve. You can go starving your rage, and suddenly maybe you'd be unable to cycle quickly enough to refresh your One Conquer 6. And as soon as you lose your One Conquer 6, your Eternal Emperor effect, the commander drop off drastically because you're not gonna be draining rage AoE. And suddenly, yes, the commander fall off. Yeah, if you focus him down, you might be able to rage starve him. But by the way, if you focus him down, you're gonna proc him, give him rage from counter attacks. So you're not gonna starve him that much. Depending on how the rage works, because basically what I wonder is, does the rage gain from draining count towards the rage cap? I'll go back to that a tiny bit later. So now we have a lot of things to math out and to discuss. I'm going to start with Silgovan's Hall, the 25 rage. I have two hypotheses, as I said. So you can consume 100 rage from Iron Pierces Bronze. So in both cases, that's there. That's a simple skill. Like, it's not going to change much. And from the expertise, you can consume 25 rage, so that's 125 rage per turn. So if you're not consuming extra rage from your defensive skill, that will be 8 turns. You can reduce that to 7 turns if you tank at least 4 skill. Every 4 skill tanked will be reducing your skill cycle turns by 1. by the way, 8 turns is kinda on the low end. And you cannot shorten that, by the way. You can go faster. I mean, how can you actually spend more rage than that 100 from Iron Pierces Bronze and 25 from the expertise? Well, you could, or if you're a crazy dude, you could say that here we have destructive and you have a chance to spend 100 rage. But no, don't do that. Do not do that. That dude is a skill machine. Is a skill machine gun. So no, do not do that. You could do that. All right. It was a tiny little joke. We had fun. Let's go back to serious business now. So you cannot increase that unless you're getting targeted, which is not very great. So yeah, 8 turns, not great. Kind of slow. Then again, the buff lasts 10 seconds, but that means that his pair must be a massive stat stick that does not rely too much on his active skill. I'm thinking Jar Jar, someone orged Philip. I think it's a terrible idea because you're completely missing on the expertise of Philip. But actually, in the second hypothesis, I'm thinking the complete opposite. Here, it might be God tier. Here, Philip might be actually a very, very good pairing. Why is that? Well, if it's actually 25 rage per target, that means you can trigger it 6 times. 1 from the Iron Pierces Bronze and 5 times from Eternal Emperor. Suddenly it's at 250 rage, without counting the defensive skill. And with 250 rage, and by the way, it's consumed, not gained. The rage cap known is on rage gain, here it's rage consumed. So maybe there is no cap there. And suddenly you have a 4-turn cycle, which is unheard of, because the limit is 5. It's 5 turns. You cannot go below 5 turns. It's impossible for a regular commander, but maybe that one can. And no one mentioned that either. I watched every video I could on that commander, and no one mentioned that possibility. So yeah, maybe we have 4 turns. That means you can do skill, second of downtime, secondary skill, second of downtime, and primary again. That's the only situation where we might actually see something like this. Well, unless you're playing with Joan of Arc. Alright, I know. I'm a Joan simp. I'm a Joan simp, alright? I know it. That seems completely broken, but not that much because you're over-refreshing the buff of the Eternal Emperor buff effect. But if you're pairing him with... Where is it? With Philip. Where is my Philip? He's there. Suddenly, you have a decent uptime on that very nice skill. You have a very, very nice uptime. Because, hey, you know what? That means... Alright, and these are skill 2. So here we have Philip. I need some colors, thank you. And here we have Philip again. So that means we have the buff here, 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 here. So yeah, that's nice. We have, yeah, 50% uptime. No, not 50%, wait. So here we have Philip, here I have Rest, and here I have Queen. So that would be here. I'm drunk. Guess I'm drunk. Yeah. No. Whatever. I'm too tired. As you can see, it's 3 in the morning. I do not sleep that much, but I really want that video out because, yeah, someone gotta do it. And if I don't, no one can, it seems. Alright. So, hypothesis 1, hypothesis 2. That kinda completely changed the commander. As that does not make him or break him. What makes or break him is actually the damage, so let's jump right into the damage. And there was a lot of things to say here, so let's only start with the Eternal Emperor effect. So, actually, also Iron Pierces Bronze. So, the base damage factor is 200, so Iron Pierces Bronze change that to skill damage, but that does not matter that much actually. So, the Eternal Emperor effect says 60% ratio. Oh my god. 60% ratio here. So that's what I write here. It's a 5 target. All right. What is that? Where does it come from? Disappear. All right. Because you have the damage drop-off from the AoE, it's written here 15% per target. It's capped at 50. So here we are. That's not that much. 300 damage per turn. So if you cycle very slowly, that's 240. That's not amazing. That's kinda amazingly weak. It's like having a 2400 damage factor single target. That is very, very weak. If it's a 4-turn cycle, well, suddenly it's even worse than that. Because, yeah, your skill cycle is of yeah, is every 4 turns you're using your every 5 turns. Yeah, actually, that should be 5. You know what? I'm not very kind, but nonetheless, it's garbage. But there is something else, and that seals govern alls. That thing is busted. 250 damage factor warning. What does that mean? All right, let's go back here. And you know what? I completely forgot where are the things, so I'm just gonna uncover everything at once. Where is it? Is it here? Yeah, all right. All right, so it says that it can trigger off Iron Pierces Bronze or Eternal Emperor. I'm gonna assume, yeah, that you can trigger it like 6 times. 1 from Iron Pierces and 5 times from Eternal Emperor. So because it's warning, I basically wrote down here what does that mean? So I'm triggering it once. I just randomly picked Iron Pierce's what is it? Bronze. So I'm proccing at 250 once. First proc of Eternal Emperor, 250 once too. And if we go there, it clearly says after triggering 2 times, every subsequent trigger is reduced. So I wrote it down. So third trigger reduced 1 times. Fourth trigger reduced 2 times. Fifth triggers reduced 3 times. And 6th triggers reduced 4 times. That means the damage are there. By the way, it says here cannot be down to a minimum of 25% damage. The 25% damage is 62, so it's not cut down. So we're doing the full damage. Hypothesis A. So I changed I use letter instead of numbers because yeah, if it's AoE, because right there it says to the extra direct damage to all targets. To all targets. But yeah, does that mean that you trigger it 1 and you hit 5 targets? You trigger it twice, you hit all targets 2 times, and so on and so forth? Like that would be nuts. That would be ridiculous. So if it's AoE, that's 5,000 damage factor per turn. So that can't be right. That legit cannot be right. So I think it's more of a single target. And by single target, I mean you trigger it on 1 target and it trigger. You hit a target with either Iron Pierces Bronze or Eternal Emperor. You will trigger the skill, Seal Governs All, and you will hit it with a single target. So any of that numbers. But if you put the 6 targets all together, well, that's 1,000 damage. And suddenly you have a god commander. That commander is busted, completely absurd. That's 1,000 damage factor per turn. That's ridiculous. 1,000 damage per turn, alongside his little 300. Actually, yeah. So that commander is actually OP. Kind of weird because he has a trigger, triggering a trigger. Like Iron Pierces Bronze trigger. Eternal Emperor, which both trigger Seal Governs All. So yes, that commander is complicated. And then I'm not even done with the rage. So you're gonna drain 15 rage from 6 targets, that's 90 rage total. But it costs 25 rage, so gonna assume it's 25 rage per target. That seems more realistic. I really think we are in the hypothesis 2. I think we're in hypothesis 2. Like you have to spend 25 rage per target to proc Steel Governs All. So that could be 150 rage consumed. That nets you at a 60 rage with a negative 60 rage. Plus the 100 rage from Iron Pierce's bronze, sorry. That means you need to gain at least 160 rage per turn to feed him. He's starving. He wants rage. He's an hungry man. All right. The issue is, does that count toward the rage cap? So let's jump right now to rage 2. I drain 15 on 6 targets. I gain 90. So yeah, I launched a basic attack, so I get 86 no matter what. I have Burning Blood, that's 9. So already, so let's put it that way. So my 90 from the drain, plus the basic, plus Burning Blood. I'm almost at the cap already. For reminders, the cap is 220. So 220 minus 185, I forgot to use that. I mean, I have only room for 35 rage left if the drain counts toward the rage cap, which I do not know. Right now, right now we have only one commander with a rage drain, and you might not even know which commander it is. Do you know which commander it is? No, you don't know. You do not know. Where is he? It's my boy Bertrand. Bertrand, my boy. Where is he? I don't even know. Oh, alright. Oh, it's here. They changed the wording. It clearly says drain now. It did not back in the preview. Alright, maybe you knew. Not gonna lie, almost no one owns him, so I cannot test that. I have no ID. It's in the game, but I have no ID. Sadly. So, yeah. That means you have only room for 35 rage. Do you actually want Rejuvenate in that case? Do you want Rejuvenate? Like, that's a real question, and that's why I had my cursor on Zhuge for so long. Maybe you're actually in that case. Maybe you should not need Rejuvenate nor Feral Nature, because by the way, if you're using primary, maybe you forgot, but you start with 500 rage. That means you have some stock before starving. Where am I? Alright, I'm here. As I said, here you need to spend 160 per turn. So you need to gain 160. Is it hard? Is it difficult? Alright, here. Well, as I said, you gain 185 per turn easily. So yeah. And you need to... What am I writing over here? Am I drunk? What? Oh, it's rage drain. All right, rage cost 150. All right, I'm moronic. All right, no, you need 250 rage per turn. So yeah, all right. Sorry. Yeah, it's 3 in the morning again. All right, give me some slack. So you need 250 rage to operate at full power, but the cap is at 220. So if there is, so if the rage drained is counted, that means at best, at the very best, you're gonna drop 30 rage from your stock, from your 500 stock. So you have a 500 stock divided by 40. How long can you last? 16 turns. That means that for 16 turns, in the very best case scenario, you're gonna drop you're gonna stop machine gunning everything. 16 turns is very long, so yeah, you should be fine. But in the event of rage drain not counting towards the rage cap, you want to stack as much rage as possible. You definitely want rejuvenate, because you're not over raging with rejuvenate. If the 90 here disappear, if I remove the 90 here, I'm only at 95, so I can obviously add again Rejuvenate, and I'm very far from the 220 cap. What is that, 45? Alright, I don't care about that one. So yeah, without the Rage drain, I'm 155, and that's not very much. Not very much. By the way, Rejuvenate will, if we are in the hypothesis 2, like 4 turns, which is the hypothesis we're working with, well, you're machine gunning things, so you're actually gonna have a lot of Rejuvenate procs, one every other turn, which is nice, but not enough to feed your rage. So you definitely want Feral Nature. You definitely want a Horn. I would not go as far as putting a drum on him. That would be maybe overkill, especially considering we're gonna now, very nice transition, talk about the pairings. And there is a pairing that is very nice. If you do not want to use Philip on him, if he is not machine gunning everything like a madman, like a crazy man, the other best pair is YSG, not gonna lie. 50% skill damage is crazy, and he also has the Museum relic, so yeah, that's 62% skill damage, that's god tier. Yeah, 62% on that, more importantly on that, is kinda nuts, not gonna lie. So yeah, and he has a Rage Engine on some decent-ish stats. Machine gunning that skill is not god tier, but it's decent. It's decent. So yeah, because you already want Feral Nature, maybe you do not really want... You will have Rejuvenate, and because you have Rejuvenate, maybe you do not want to waste your Rage Engine from Zhuge on him, on Queen. But if you only want to run one Archer March, the only one, obviously you want Zhuge as a secondary, and you don't care if you're wasting the Rage Engine. It's okay. You have a stronger active skill than YSG. You only have 20% skill damage, alright? So you lose a bit there. But you have also massive debuff, and you have a second AoE here. So yeah, it's kinda close. Maybe we should try some DPS test with both. It would be interesting to test out. Maybe I will do it. Maybe not. Maybe someone else will do it. So yeah. But again, if you're spamming rage, if you're spamming cycles, well, actually maybe Philip is a better pick. And I know I have a lot of people saying you are wasting him, because usually you want to the double cast. The double cast is a lot of damage, and a lot of people do not realize that. 40% chance to trigger a big active skill like Arthur or Zhuge cannot be ignored. And the argument was, yeah, you have 30% all damage. Well, you can just pick YSG and you'll be fine. You have 50%. They were arguing, yeah, but you have 40% on the active skill. Well, no, you have only 20%, because the 20% baseline will always work from your bow. Like, anyone can trigger it, and because Queen do not actually have a big spike, but is doing small instances of damage every turn, is gonna benefit from the 20% baseline all the time. So you're only gaining 20% more because it's multiplied by 2 for the troop, for himself. So yeah, that's 50% all damage with almost 100% uptime if you're spamming it. But YSG has the same. So if you care only about damage, YSG provide more. But yeah, Philip is tankier because you will have 20% less damage taken, you will have a lot of health, and more march speed. By the way, 20% march speed from Queen alone is enough. It should be enough compared to the current infantry marches we're running. On the other archer marches you might be running, it's going to be slower than your calves anyway. So yeah, that would almost be too much march speed. So yeah, it's nice to have march speed. I really love march speed, but yeah, it might not be as good of a pairing. It really comes down to that. Are we machine gunning it? If we are machine gunning it, yeah, I definitely want that buff with a massive uptime on my murder ball. I want it. I like it. I like 20% more damage on all my marches. I like 20% more damage on on BQ, Luce, Zhuge Liang. Like, yeah, that's nice. I really want that skill. Already. All right. I'm too tired. I'm getting too emotional. All right. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video, where I'll be hopefully testing that new commander. And yeah, tests everything we have to test. Like, does the rage drain actually count towards the rage cap? Are we in the hypothesis 1 or hypothesis 2? Are we in the hypothesis A or hypothesis B? Not gonna lie, this is B. Alright, ain't no way this is A. Ain't no way with a commander dealing 5000 damage factor every single turn. Plus the basic attack, splashing. That would be ridiculous. Yeah, that means that dude would be dealing, so we see 5063 plus 200 from the basic attack plus 300 from the splash. Yeah, yeah, more. Give me more. That would be. This is ridiculous. And that just the factor is 5563 damage factor per turn. That would be ridiculous. So, I'm too tired. Please help me. I need to edit that video. Well, we only have that plus that plus that. 1500 damage factor per turn. That is ridiculous. I mean, even the more, even times 5. If you manage somehow with the very best commander in the game to cycle every 5 seconds, to cycle your active skill every 5 seconds, nothing can keep up. That's 7,500 damage factor. It's like having an active skill over 7,500 damage factor. Like, this is ridiculous. Nothing can compete. Oh my god, the number is ridiculous. Oh, I think my thumbnail is just gonna be it's just gonna be him with that number on it, with that number nearby. I'm just gonna write it in big. All right, thank you everyone. Thank you for bearing with me. It was very long. I'm very tired, but I really wanted that video out. Please drop a like, drop any question you might still have in the comment section, and see you in the next video. I hope I'll be able to record other video than testing him. I do not know. Alright, I need to cut. See ya.